Okay, hey, this is Joe Bullis. This is MELS 601, Dr. Todd's cohort, um, and it is November the 14th, 2019. We are getting close. I think this, I said in the email, I think this is week 12, or middle of week 12. Um, and am I right or wrong on that? I tell you what, thank you. I appreciate that, Jenny. Yeah, week 12. So we're getting down to the short rows. Um, Tonight is a question and answer night. I did put on the schedule that I would review the task stream requirements. I've gone over them uh, a few times. I can't exactly remember. I've gone over so many times last couple of weeks with different cohorts. It's hard to say how many times I have gone over them. So I did have a question right off the bat that was sent to me via chat. Um, can you explain the School of Ed dispositions? Also, once we have added our artifacts to the portfolio and requested comments, do we submit our work or wait for feedback? Okay, so let's get into task stream, and then those are good questions. Let me address that. But I'm a visual learner, so I always like to use visuals when I speak. And I'm sorry if I seem a little bit miscombobulated tonight. I think I told you, I may not have told you guys, but I'm right in the middle of a federal audit at work. And I've been going through files all day long and pulling and scanning and dropping in electronic portfolio for the auditors. And man, my brain is fuzzy right now. That's why I went ahead and made me a cup of coffee. Okay, so let's look at this. Author, my example is spring 2019. School of Ed dispositions, basically what that is you don't have to add any comments, any narrative at all. Those are a list of dispositional leadership items. So if you are wanting to become a school leader, then you should be dispositionally prepared to address the areas that are in this list. Now, don't let this be confused with the competency analysis. The competency analysis is where you're looking at all of the 21 competencies, and you can pull information from task 5. That's the task that you reflected on for each of the competencies that you reflected. So in the competency analysis, you will tell whether you met or didn't meet that competency, and you will not have met every one of the 21 competencies because you haven't really gone through and engage those competencies in 601 at the beginning of the program. So some you will put not met, and that's fine. It's not for a grade. It's just, I think I described it as a check-in, a benchmark, a self-assessment. Actually, both of these items are a self-assessment of where you're at, but you take what you wrote in task 5 and you pull it into the comment section in the competency analysis. And along with that, I sent out an email earlier this week, and I'm glad that that the discussion has kind of led me to this point because I wanted to clarify that. If you look in the rubric on the scale handbook, and I'm not going to bring it up, but in task 5 of the APSL and in each of the evidences that you're going to be dealing with throughout the program, all but one, and that's a 604, and we'll get to that when we get to that. But you, at the very end of the task, the very last task is going to ask you to reflect. It's going to ask you to reflect on your clinical experiences. That means the experiences that you've had in the internship, the experiences that you have had working in the APSL. And it also asks you to kind of reflect on the course content. So take all that you've learned, all that you've been exposed to this semester, and reflect on it in relationship to the applicable competencies that are listed in the scale handbook for the APSL. So you talk about the course content, you talk about your internship experiences, and you also talk about your experiences in the APSL. And that's why I put that out there, because I was seeing a lot, and Dr. Todd may address this as well, because we've been talking about this over the last several days. But I was seeing a lot of reflections come through, and a couple of things. One, all of it was about the internship. All of it was about your internship hours, and that's what some people were writing on. I really didn't mention course content, what they've gained theoretically, didn't address the ABSL. So I would give some feedback, make sure that you address those things in your reflection. And it's not a report. If you say, I did this and I did this and I did this, and I met with the principal and we did this discipline with the student, and I went to the Board of Ed meeting and I gave this presentation and I pulled my PLC team together and we looked at this data, blah, blah, blah. That's a report. That's not a reflection. A reflection is when you look at all of your experiences and then you reflect on them. How has it reinforced you as a leader? How has it changed your thoughts or your concept of being a school leader? How some things that you've improved upon through this, some things you realized you need to improve upon. So it's really looking at yourself and how has all of these experiences changed me? How have all of these experiences created some type of learning for me? And that's a true, if you're a true reflecting person, I lost the phrase I was going to use, practitioner. There we go. It came back to me. Then you're going to look at where I'm at, and you do this in teaching too. I mean, you know, before the lesson, you say, okay, what are some things that can happen? What are some questions I might get? What are some good things that can happen? What are some things that I need to be on the lookout for? And then after the lesson, you reflect. What went well? What are some things I would do different next time I'm going to teach this lesson? Same thing here. So just make sure that comes across. You do not have to write a long, page for each or 2 pages for each. But as long as you kind of get that information in there, whether it's a paragraph or a page, that's what we're looking for at the end. And in this case, ABSL Task 5. So sorry, I saw that rabbit and I decided to chase it. He's gone in the hole now, so we'll move back over here. Getting back to the original question of what a school of ed disposition is, as I said, that's a self-assessment too, but it's not connected to the competencies. It's some dispositional areas that you need to be aware of as a leader, and that's just where are you at in relationship to this. Now, the way they phrase these, and I don't think this will allow me to pull them up. Oh, great, it does. Okay, good. So this new version does, and that's great. Okay, so this is what you do. You can certainly put some comments here if you want to, but you look at learner development. Where are you at in learner development? That dispositional leadership area, where are you at? Do you consider yourself unsatisfactory in that area? Do you need improvement in that area? Do you meet the expectations or do you exceed expectations? Goes on to learning differences, learning environments, content knowledge, application of content, assessment, planning for instruction, all the way down to leadership and collaboration. When you're looking at these, do not look at these through the lens of being a teacher. Look at these through the lens of being an administrator in relationship, not just to the classroom, but at instructional strategies as it applies to a school. Where are you at on that? And you can read all the contents of each and the details of each, and then you kind of look and see where you're at. Like I said, if you want to make some comments, you certainly can, but it's not necessary. But it's just another self-assessment of where you're at in these areas. And that's all that the School of Ed disposition is. Let me back out of this. I'm going to cancel that. Okay. And I may be able to pull up yeah, great. All right. So, and if you'll notice, this is the competency analysis, change management, creative thinking, results orientation. read all of these, and you can put met and not met on those, and that would be your competency analysis. And yours will probably have a place to put in comments. I'm not seeing a comment section here on mine, but this is a different view. But there's your competency analysis where you go through those, and that is where are you at right now in relationship to all the competencies that you have worked with in the APSL.
Dr. Bullis, can I ask a question about this?
Yes.
That you had open, because when I did that, it looks exactly like that. It looked exactly like you had pulled up. So is there a place for us to put our, to copy and paste in from task 5? I mean,
no, if it's not there, you know,
okay.
if it's not there, don't put it in there. You might be able to do that with the School of Dispositions if it's applicable. So no problem. Apparently those comment sections have gone away, and I wouldn't worry about it. Now, if you have some things in your reflections that lend itself to learner development and learning differences, and you want to put them in there, you can. Appreciate you letting me know that, Jenny. That I thought that's when I kind of a little bit surprised when I pulled that up, because I didn't see the comment section, and I guess that form has changed. So it's just basically, and looking at your reflections, which makes sense because you've already done them one time in task 5. There really wouldn't be any sense in dragging them and pulling them over here if you've already reflected on them. So you look at your task 5 and what you wrote up and say, okay, based on that, did I meet that that competency, and just click met or not met. Good deal. That's less work. All right. Any other questions?
I actually have a few more. I wrote them down because so I can be
Okay, well, let me cut you off. Then let me address. There was one other question that came on and we'll get back to you, Jenny. I apologize. Once we have added our artifacts to the portfolio and requested comments, do we submit our work or wait for feedback? And I'm not sure what in the artifact, in the competency folio, when you submit your artifacts, you request comments, you know, you click on it, load up your artifact and request comments over here. The competency folio, there's nothing else to do. After you do that, there's nothing else that you need to do with a competency folio. Now, providing on the feedback that you get, there might be something like, you know, please explain this, or do you have another artifact? This one doesn't apply, and then you can go in and manipulate it and adjust it and revise it as you need to. So there's really not anything to turn in that you'll be turning in for a grade at this point. You're going to build this portfolio through the program, and at the very end, kind of like the internship hours, this is kind of a work in progress until this is where you would load up your internship log for this semester as well. It's kind of a work in progress till 6:05, and then it's finalized, and then it's graded. I just saw another chat flash on the screen, so let's see. Okay, no problem. It's easy to do, getting the ABSL mixed up with the, let me get off of here. Like I said, it's easy to get the ABSL, the DRF mixed up with the competency portfolio. You know, you kind of got two things in task stream you need to worry about, and that's the DRF. That's what we were just looking at. This is where you load up the ABSL, do the competency analysis, do the School of Ed dispositions. Then you come over here to the competency folio, load up your artifacts, and then request comments. That's really all you need to do with the competency folio. All right, so Jenny, I apologize once again for cutting you off a while ago. What are your other questions?
I think you might have already answered them. Like if you, for my competency folio, you had said, is this your open-ended? And I replied back to you, and I just did it today, so I wouldn't have expected you to have already done that. But I replied back to you. Do I need to request them again, or is that something that will automatically generate to you? Like if we reply to one of your comments, do we need to request the comment again?
No, that's fine. What I'll do is the way mine looks, let's see, and I think I can do this without violating any FERPA. I'll show you
It's okay. It doesn't matter.
yeah, but no, let's see, this is just to kind of give you an idea of what I see. Spring 2019, that's not it. Fall 2019. Okay, so here's everybody, and see under yours where it says new, that lets me know that you've replied, and there's something in there that I need to go and check out. So, yeah.
Can you
So
share
you
that
don't have
screen
to
with
request
us?
comments again.
Can you share that screen with us? Sorry, we can't see it.
Oh, am I not on share? I am so sorry. I must have clicked off a while ago. Okay, here we go. I tell you, this has been my day all day today. Share. Okay, did it come up now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, see right here under your competency folio, it says new. So that will let me know that you responded.
And then one other thing is we are supposed to submit our intern log every semester or only at the end?
Okay, good question. You turn it in, or I don't want to use that phrase. There's so many catchphrases and so many terms, and I'm kind of limited because it creates a confusion when I use it. On the internship log, each semester, I need to look at it. I need to review it. Not for a grade, I just need to review it so I can track it, make sure that you're on track and that you're pulling in the hours. What we do, how we do that is we use the competency folio to do that. So at the end of the semester, you put it right here under internship log each semester. That's not for a grade. You put it there and you go up and request comment. That just gives me access to it, and it's a way of housing it. So at the end of the program, we can document that you incrementally increase those and you progressing towards the end. And I've given you comments and feedback each semester. So that's where you put it at the end of each semester. For licensure and for grading, you at the end of 605, you will go to the DRF, and this is where you submit it for grading. 605, you do all of this, and 605. One of the last things is submit the internship log as a whole. So you get feedback on it in 601, 602, 603, and 604. And then in 605, you submit it to the DRF. Remember, this is the direct response folio. This is where you submit your evidences, you do your school of ed dispositions, you do your competency analysis. We're going to talk about this later. I'm not going to confuse you with this right now, but your internship log. So that's when it'll be turned in and will be housed for review for licensure. Before that, just so I can keep a check on everything, we're going to look at it at the end of each semester in the competency folio. Okay, that makes sense?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. For now, after Christmas break, you will have forgotten it. I will have forgotten it. We'll go back over it again next semester. Okay, I noticed there was a new question come up on the chat. Okay, good question. The question was, do we submit the School of Ed dispositions and the competency analysis or ask for comment? On the School of Ed dispositions and the competency analysis in your DRF, your direct response folio, you submit those. That's a self-assessment at that point in time. It's not for grading. It's to show growth, your growth as a leader. Both of these are. You won't do one in 602. You will do a School of Ed in 603. You actually won't do a competency analysis again at the very end when you do your final one in 605. But you'll do a School of Ed disposition in 603. So you won't mess with it next semester. but these are submit, and it's to fulfill a requirement of the university. It's not for a grade, it's a pass-fail scenario. So if you do it, then you will have met that requirement. Even if you pulled the competency analysis up and you felt like you just really had, you know, at a baseline, not met on everything, if you click not met on everything, when it's reviewed, you will still have met the requirement. It's not for a grade, it's just a self-assessment. And so you don't request comments. There are not any comments to be given back on that. It's just a matter of you assessing where you're at this point in time. I really like the fact that I can pull this up now. Okay, did that answer that question? If it didn't, you know, chime in on the chat again. All right, what other questions do we have?
I just want to make sure, sorry, Amy,
That's
I didn't mean to interrupt. I just want to make sure that I'm clear on, Jenny kind of questioned it, but she left her comments or whatever. When we have those extra in our competency analysis, do we need to show them as your open-ended, or are you just going to assume it, or do we need to comment back?
Okay, it's a great question, Amanda, and I'm glad you asked it. Somebody's calling me. Let me turn that off. Okay, first of all, remember your competency analysis is in the DRF. The competency folio is where you submit your artifacts. So many terms, and I know they're confusing. Okay, so if you'll notice on each one, if you put something up and it comes from the APSL, then I'm going to know it's applicable to the APSL. If something goes in and I can't see it being related to the APSL, then you haven't done the SIAP yet. That's at the very end. So I'm going to anticipate that that's your open-ended. You do your open-ended at any time in the program that you want to. Does not have to be first semester or whenever. At the end of the program, as long as you have, in this case, communication, an artifact from the APSL, an artifact from the SIAP, and open-ended, then you're good to go. Some candidates do that. Some candidates will go down here and they'll give it a title and say APSL. Some will go down and say SIAP, and then some will go open-ended. I can usually tell the difference, but if I have a question, I'm going to put it in the comment section just so I'll be able to gauge where you're at. I don't want this semester to go by and you not address all of the ones that's pertaining to the APSL that you need to address. So it's okay if you put the open-ended in there too, but this semester you need to make sure that you go through each of these competencies and list anything that's dealing with the APSL. If you choose to label it, that's fine. If you don't and I can't see it on my own and figure it out, I'll request a comment, or I'll comment back to you just to make sure that I'm on the same page as you are in the thinking of this.
Okay, so it's my understanding that we had to do 8 of the APSL plus the 4 open-ended, like in our paper that we wrote. Is that true, or should we just focus on the APSL, and if we happen to have open-ended, put them in there?
Okay, two separate things here. You're talking about, if I understand you correctly, you're talking about task 5 and your reflections. You need to reflect on the 8 competencies listed in the description and the prompt, and plus 4 more. That's a separate thing.
Right. I think in our post from Dr. Todd, she said in this we had to put the 8 that were just like the APSL. So I was just making sure, because I thought you just had to do the APSL, but when I read her post for like what's due this week or what we're working on, it sounded like she said in the competency folio, and I could be wrong, I could be reading it wrong, that we also had to put 4 extra ones.
Okay, the best way to do when you're in the competency folio is just go through, and anyone that has an APSL in parentheses, then you need to post an artifact that deals with that. I can't remember if there's 8 or not. I mean, if you guys, let's see, communication, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think there actually might be 9 on here.
6. And you're probably right. 7. Come on, there we go. 8. 9. Good job. So there are 9. So if I was a candidate, I would make sure that I had 9 artifacts at whichever competency that said the APSL, I would make sure that I had an artifact there. I would treat this completely separate than I do the reflections of task 5. The only connection would be that the artifacts that you created in doing tasks 1 through 5, you can show here. Good question. Okay, let me look at the chat. Okay, another good question. Can some of the artifacts be used twice, or do they all have to be different? No, you can use the same artifact if it's applicable. You can use the same artifact for multiple competencies, like the action plan. The action plan you can use for, change management, time management, results orientation. So you could use it several. So you can use an artifact more than one time. Yes. And that's true throughout the program. Okay, any other questions?
I have one, Dr. Bullis.
Sure, Amy.
I did the turn it in tonight. So am I in a holding pattern with that, or does that digital receipt email I received, do I need to do anything with that?
Yeah, some course instructors, once you get your turn it in score, they will have you to take a screenshot.
Yeah,
and
I saw that.
Okay, that's a Dr. Todd question. As far as if you did your turn it in and you got a score of 100, in the comment section, it should have said ready for task stream. I think Dr. Todd may say, send me the screenshot. Once you send her the screenshot, you will have got everything that I needed from you to me. When we do the final evidence narrative and you get a grade of 100, and I'll say ready for task stream, meaning pending Dr. Todd's approval. So you need to make sure that you follow the requirements that Dr. Todd has in the course. Once you've done all that, you're ready to go to the DRF and submit it to right here in task stream. That answer your question, Amy?
Yes. Well, and right now I don't have any scores. So all I have is an email receipt from it that says digital receipt. So I'll just wait for all of that other stuff.
Okay, check with Dr. Todd on that, because once you do the final evidence narrative on my end, I don't see anything from turn it in from you guys. So make sure you double check with her on that. Yeah, it should be 24 hours. You should receive a grade and be good to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry, I have so many questions tonight. I just
Oh,
want to
I
try to
love questions. Yeah.
finish the course up and move on to the next one. So next week for week 13 for Dr. Todd, we have to, one of our assignments is to submit an email from you saying that we completed our competency folio.
Okay, great.
But then it says the 8 required competencies are communication, change management, delegation, dialogue, inquiry, judgment, system thinking, technology, visionary. And then it says in addition, you are to choose 4 additional competencies. So does that mean we should have 4 open-ended ones as well?
If I haven't had this conversation with Dr. Todd yet. I would anticipate As I said before, my main priority would be to make sure that I had an artifact in every competency that has the ABSL listed. If she says for you to do 4 more, then the only thing I could think it would be the open-ended. You haven't done the SIAP yet. You can't do that. What was it? Customer focus, I think. Yeah, you haven't done the ALMA or the SIP. So the only thing that you could upload for that particular competency would be the open-ended. As far as the competency folio, I monitor that throughout the program. So that's what my focus is to make sure that the ones that you have included in here are applicable. I would seek clarification from Dr. Todd on that. If she wants you to do 4 additional ones, then I'm like you, I'm thinking it would be the open-ended. I wasn't aware that she put that stipulation out there.
Yeah, I was just trying to make it so that we didn't put twice as much work on you to have to grade everybody's twice if we had to go back and do that. So,
well, you know what? You should get an A just for thinking like that. I appreciate that, but don't worry about. Oh, okay. And I see, Amanda, I apologize for not understanding your question better the first time. That makes sense to me now. I did not know that she had put that out there. I'll follow up with her either tonight or in the morning and see if I can get some clarification on that as well. For my part, for my requirements as your clinical coach, I just need you to do these that are listed as that we went through a while ago and make sure that those are listed. And I am the only one that monitors the competency folio until the end. Dr. Lamb at that point also monitors it to make sure everybody is approved for graduation. And all that he is going to be looking for is 3 artifacts, 1 from the ABSL, 1 from the SIOP, 1 from the open-ended. I have a great deal of respect for Dr. Todd. I don't want to contradict or anything that she told you though, because she is your course instructor. So I would just ask you to seek clarification from her, and then I will try to communicate with her as well to clear this up. Fortunately, we got enough time to do that. Focus for those of you, and I think everybody's in really good shape that's on here tonight, but the main thing is to make sure that you get that ABSL completed and loaded up to task string in the DRF. And then once you do that, then you can, clicked on the wrong one. Then you can look at the School of Ed dispositions, the competency analysis, and then work on that competency folio as well. But yeah, we'll get clarification from Dr. Todd on that.
thank you, and sorry for so many questions.
Don't apologize. I mean, that's how we get it all cleared out. And it is, this first semester is confusing to say the least. It will get easier. It will get easier. The process will become familiar. The workload will lighten up, and you'll be more familiar with everything. And so I'd rather make sure that we, spend an hour and a half asking and answering questions and make sure we clarify everything so that you have a good base knowledge to go through the program. If we do something wrong now and then, we'll be fighting it all the way through the semester. So asking all these questions now and helping to get it clear in your mind. And like I said a while ago, you'll forget it. It's just like anything with technology. If you don't use it every day, then when you go back to it after a week or so, you kind of think, now what am I supposed to do? So, it's clear right now to become fuzzy again in 602, but we'll go through that process again. But as I said, the more and more we do it, the more familiar it will be. You ask any question that you want to. That's why we spend this time. Yeah. I apologize for not understanding some of the questions you've asked me tonight. Okay, any questions? We've been at it for 30 minutes. Now, I'll stay on here as long as you need me to. But I know that you guys have may want to go and do some things yourself. I probably will post this recording because you did have some really good questions that some others can benefit from. So I probably will post it in the video library and send it out in the email so everybody can take a look at it. Is there anything else that I can help you with tonight? All right. Well, I have enjoyed it. Thank you very much. I appreciate your patience and coming in and asking some thoughtful questions that others can benefit from. You guys have a great evening. I hope and pray you and your family stay healthy and safe, and we will see you next time. Take care.